Hello and welcome. This is the Helm Weekly Developer Call for March 4th, 2021. And just a few things to talk about today. Our 3.5.3 milestone is due in a week, but I believe perhaps Farina wants to say a few things about how you should have everything in the milestone pretty much by yesterday if you would like it to be in this release. What do you have to say there, Mr. Farina?
Yeah, that's probably true. If folks want to give it another day and maybe go through and see if anything else needs to go in, the only two issue or PRs in the milestone right now that aren't merged are ones that have changes requested that have not happened yet. And so if the changes don't come in, they won't end up being merged. So this would be some new things from the backlog of pull requests that could be pulled in for this milestone. We should also be looking at the next minor release, which will be coming up soon. If folks want to start looking at that as well, that would be useful.
All right. And if we don't have a milestone for that one yet, we will make it.
We do. We should.
Oh, good. All right. Fantastic. Anything else on the milestone or the release, which should be happening March 10th?
Nope.
All right. Get your changes in. Next up, we have the Helm Contributor Summit coming up. Dr. Butcher, would you like to tell us a few things about that?
Okay, yeah, I'm supposed to be taking notes, so if anybody wants to fill in while I'm doing that. April 6th, we're going to do a workshop to help both new contributors who are just starting to get going with the Helm ecosystem and established contributors who are thinking about maybe becoming core maintainers or upping their game and getting familiar with sort of the inner workings of the PR review process. So we've got a pretty good lineup of core committers who are core contributors who are going to speak. If you are a core maintainer and you have time, it would be great. We still need a couple of TA style people who can hang out in chat and help answer questions during the presentations. But the details are the details for the do we want to drop that link in chat here? The details for registering are on the CNCF events website. And for those of you who are core maintainers, you've got copied somewhere along the lines on a spreadsheet that will show you where you can sign up to help out with this. So we're pretty excited about everything. It's coming together very, very well. We tested out the new platform, CNCF's new platform. So we're feeling like we will be ready to go on August 6th. Oh my gosh, April 6th, April 6th, about a month from Saturday.
What even is time? Yeah. Yeah. There will probably be things in August, but something coming up in May, KubeCon EU virtual. Karen is arranging both a booth and office hours, so there'll be opportunities to participate in, I think the way CNCF did it the last couple of times is Zoom calls at specific times on a CNCF Zoom link where attendees join and just chat with people about the project. So Karen will let us know when we can sign up for those. And I'm arranging the recording of our Helm maintainer session for KubeCon this time is going to be very similar to the content in the Contributor Summit. We have Karina and various Matts, and I will just be recording hey, you want to be a contributor. Here are some things to help you become a contributor, because as part of being a graduated CNCF project, we want to provide a good example and onboard people to becoming contributors. And that is all we've got about that. Yes, various Matts, specifically Farina and Butcher. Okay, I noticed that the agenda was a little light today, so I put a couple of items that I think maybe could use some follow-up from last week, that people may have a few more, updates or ideas, things to talk about. I put that first one, follow-up on the idea about maybe having a Helm label project. And Dr. Butcher, I know you had a bunch of insights on that. I'm wondering if you have any more thoughts or how you'd want to, what are our next steps there, if any?
So my action item was to send Matt Farina the information on what labels we had been talking about. And then Matt Farina was going to talk to SIGAPS about it. And so I did that. So I will pass it off to another Matt.
Yes. So the ooh, my video is not working. There we go. So the I have to take it to SIGAPS, and SIGAPS meets every other week. And so SIGAPS hasn't met since we talked. And so next Monday, it's already on the agenda to have as part of the discussion.
Perfect. Great. Thank you so much. Okay. And then the other item I was thinking it would be nice to get a little follow-up on. I know Scott and Farina had been talking about how they were going to follow up on progress on opening up functions to the SDK. And I'm wondering what, if anything, do you want to tell us about that?
And this was specifically with the OCI work. And so in order to do that, we need to get the OCI work out of experimental. And there's a number of things we have to do to get there. And so I started to chase some of those down, including connecting with Josh, who I see is on the call. And I believe he started work on the pusher interface, some of the other things that were in the OCI HIP that needed to be completed before we could graduate the feature. And if I remember right, this week, Josh sent me a message saying, hey, I'm working on it. Check it out. So work is underway to try to dot some of those I's and cross some of those T's. There's other various things we have to do, like OCI should release a spec that says artifacts are for real. We've got a number of other things in there that are need to be tackled first, but the technical ones that are within our control, we've got a little movement on.
All right, great.
I was going to say similar things. So +1.
What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I have a branch that the push work is on, and once that's complete and tested, I don't see why we couldn't go public. There's also stuff related to Auras going on behind the scenes, and that will maybe become more CNCF supported. Perhaps the most recent conversations are being part of the new distribution CNCF project because they just went sandbox.
Okay, great. Keep us updated on that for sure. Let's see, that's all that we have on the agenda, but that's because I just added things to the agenda. And as people join us and have ideas, perhaps they have things they want to talk about. So let's open the floor. Does anyone have anything specific that they'd like to chat about?
I'm trying to type this and I'll just ask it out loud. We also had a Helm examples repo that we were going to start, and I know it got started. Is there any update on how far?
Oh, yeah, I know that Adam is working on it, and I have not looked in the last day or so to see if he actually moved it into the Helm org. So I will take that as an action item to follow up on that with Adam. Because yes, I know there is an open issue in Helm where someone is saying, perhaps we should point things at, various and sundry. And it's like, well, we want to point things at the example repo that is coming real soon now, TM. Let's see. We also could ask people to volunteer for moderator and notes next time. You can put your name in the doc or put it in the chat or raise your hand or whatever you prefer. Is there anything else we should talk about while we're all here?
I was just looking in the notes doc for it, but I was wondering, when we talked about the CICD best practices, who was driving that? Did anybody, or was it just, we talked about that it should happen?
Is that the one Joe brought up? I have a vague
This
memory.
might have been the conversation that Butcher and I had about CI and Helm. And I've done some investigation on it, right? So if you look at things like caching Helm, the CLI downloads, there are certain ways that you can cache things and say GitHub Actions runners, but they don't actually work by caching the runner when you're using GitHub Actions itself on GitHub, because that would be a total security issue to cache downloaded CLI things in runners, and then you could totally pollute somebody else's. And they don't, luckily, because I checked. So that would be only for your own custom runners. And so having some of these ways of caching and having good practices, I don't know if they're worked out yet. And so I stopped at trying to figure out what the best practices should be and the things we should do should be. But that's kind of where I stopped. It should be written up. But I don't think anybody took it as an actual action yet. And I think several of us are already very busy. And so that's part of the reason that it didn't happen.
Do we
That
have
does make sense.
Yeah.
I think that effort would make sense because this is effectively how to not shoot yourself in the foot, or how to have not somebody else shoot yourself in the foot because they catch something and you use the catch thing. I think we should spin off that effort, I would say.
is that me hearing you volunteering to
Yeah, I could
give it a shot?
I could totally give that a shot. Yes. I see
right.
that's something that we should be taking care of. Yeah.
All right. Sounds fabulous.
Is there a GitHub issue or something that we've created on this so that we can have the initial brain dump of what we were thinking about that I could look up to?
I'm scrolling back looking for it.
Did we have an issue on this? It should be on the Helm www repo.
About CICD? Really? All right.
Well, this is docs on how you do it yourself, not on Helm specific CICD, what we're doing.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll take a note that we will find whatever currently exists and make it available to you.
Yeah, I think a GitHub issue with the existing discussion, whatever we started off would be a good starting point. I could go ahead and then do the rest.
Yeah, despite the fact that I've clearly memorized all the issues that exist in Helm and Helm www, I can't bring that one to mind at this very moment. The grep is failing. So.
Yeah, and this one did you just mention this would be in the docs repo, and that means the Helm -www? Okay. Yeah, I can take a look. Do you want me to create an issue with a very basic text in there and then pull you folks in for your comments? Is that fine, or do you want to go and create one? Either way works for me.
And go ahead and create the issue
Sure.
if it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I can do that.
I guess we thought an issue existed, but worth moving forward on. Thank you for bringing that up, Karina.
So it's under the February 11th notes, and Scott's not here, but another follow-up would be the GitHub actions, right? Discussion. So I don't know if that's something that should be saved for when Scott's back, or just looking at the February 11th notes.
Yes, where it says GitHub actions have artifacts, and Scott was going to look into caching across jobs and what was possible.
Yeah, he put some notes into the doc on what he did test and didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a big to-do CI best practices in Helm docs, I think. So that's one. We should
All right. So
make.
the answer is probably there isn't an issue, and you can go ahead and make one.
Thank you. I'll do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, if along the way we can help reduce the download burden on the Helm object storage bucket, that would be good, because that's one of our most expensive line items. As we all know, transferring data is surprisingly expensive. Storage might be cheap, but transfer is not.
Never is. Okay. Is there anything else people would like to bring up or talk about? I think we're going to give you some time back. Delightful. We're very efficient. Before we go, let's pick people to do exciting tasks next week. Who would like to play the role of me?
It's been a while. I can do it.
Farina, excellent. And who would like to play the role of Dr. Butcher, aka Scribe Extraordinaire? Oh,
I went ahead and
you already added yourself. Fantastic. Thank you. And who would like to do issue triage?
I think I can do it this week.
Okay. I like how you think you can do it.
If I can't, well, I have to check how many days I'm gone and whether that will be. But if I can't, I will get somebody to cover for me.
Yep. Ah, delightful. All right.
It does crack me up every time you ask that question and Farina turns his camera off.
It's like
Surely it's
the
not on
Homer
purpose.
disappearing into the hedge thing, just a little more obvious.
Would never do something like that.
Hashtag probably fine. Should we talk about who's cutting the release that is theoretically happening in a week?
I figured I was going to do it since
All
I've been
right.
handling this branch. I can do it.
Who would like to ride along with Farina so they can learn about how to do it? Possibly.
That's fine. This will only take a few minutes.
Okay. And it's a
Hopefully.
foot release. Hopefully. All right. We will reconvene next week and hopefully have exciting discussions about how the release is already in the wild.
Could
Yes. What was that, Joe?
Matt maybe do, I don't know, I don't know if it's video worthy or just notes worthy, but somehow document so that
Oh, yeah.
follow up on that and see how you do it. And maybe I can try to volunteer at some point in the future.
Oh, yeah. There are docs. Here, I will drop
Oh,
a
yes.
link.
There's a lot of docs on how we do
There
it.
must have been.
Whether it's major, minor.
You just asked the
patch.
question. I just figured I'd ask the question now.
No, it's a very good
That's a
question.
good question.
And honestly, the reason why I keep trying to get people to ride along is because every time somebody who is not yet familiar with the release watches the release happening and walks through the docs, they PR in at least one more change that's needed to the docs to make it better. So yeah, but that's the release checklist. And I would encourage anyone who's interested to ping Mr. Farina and attempt to watch him do what is a simple process, and yet we always have to improve our documentation. But okay, I think we're done, and everybody gets to enjoy 10 minutes of freedom before their next meeting starts. Take care.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.